All right, so let's talk about the techniques you're going to need to know for the UV resin. So when it comes to UV resin, it is super fast. Like you have this light and it has a timer on it and it does 60 seconds. So when you use resin at any time, the wet resin at any time, you're going to need to put the UV light on for 60 seconds, maybe a bit more. And you're going to need to put it on the front side and do everything you want to do on the front side. But then you're going to need to flip it over and do it on the back side, because if you don't, your backside can be sticky. And so I love how quick the UV resin is. It's really great, but make sure that you are drying it properly. Make sure that you're doing the 60 seconds. Also, this is UV resin for a reason, because either sun or the light that is in the kit can make it dry. But when you're doing color, you don't want to be too dark, because the UV light will not be able to penetrate the resin and it won't be able to dry properly. So don't do too dark when it comes to putting in color for your UV resin. It'll get sticky, it won't dry properly, and you just want to make sure that the UV is able to penetrate through. So we have the silicone, right? When you're doing resin, whether epoxy or UV, you have the silicone, and you don't want to ever wash the silicone with soap and water. You want to have everything dry. So let's say I use this cup and I use it to mix my color and everything. You want to make sure that it dries completely, so you can put your light on it or wait for it to dry. You want to make sure that whatever is dried on your molds, right? But when you want to clean it, you're going to want to use a packing tape. Don't use the tape that comes for the bezels, because that's a special tape. Just use like a packing tape. And what I do is I actually I wrap the resin around my hand like so, and I go like this. And then I can pop the stuff out, but to clean it, I use this, and I use the tape to clean it. So if I have like glitter left over, or if I have a couple like dots left over, I will take and I'll clean my silicone like this, my molds like this, and I use both sides, back and front. I do all that, and I clean it using tape. I do not use soap and water. It's just not necessary, because it dries and then you can use your tape. Now, when it comes to your bezels, right? When it comes to your bezel, we have our bezels. There's lots of fun bezels in this kit. You're gonna want to take your tape. You take your tape and you get a scissors and you cut it like so. You can even put your bezel on beforehand. Get your scissors, your tape. And in order to not let the resin drip out or like seep out, you put it on, and then you put your finger around it and make sure that it's completely on there, because when the resin is liquid, right? And so it wants to seep out, but if you press it properly, it won't seep out. The next trick I want to show you is with the tape, kind of do a fold like this, because you're gonna wanna be holding and touching the tape. And when you have a fold, you can touch it without getting your finger sticky, because it sticks to it. And can I tell you, if it's wet and your finger sticks to it and it comes up, all your resin's gonna drip out, it's gonna fall out. And so just kind of have a fold right there to make sure that you have a place to put your finger to hold it down while you do things. The other thing I wanna share about is that your silicone mold for doing like pendants or doing earrings or keychain, this is very touchy, right? The silicone is touchy. And so you don't want to scratch it. You don't want to use really tweezers that are pokey. You don't want to have anything that would scratch or leave a mark, because what's going to happen is when you make your resin pendant, earring, whatever, it's going to have that mark on there. And so if you scratch it, if you do anything like that, then you've kind of ruined that part of your mold, and you can no longer use it, or you can have, a little damage on your resin. And so be very careful with your mold. Be very careful with the silicone mold. So when you're doing the UV resin, make sure you're in a room that's 72 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. You don't want it too cold, or the resin might not cure properly. It might not dry properly. You don't want it too hot. or it might go even faster and you might not get to do everything you want to do. So make sure that your resin is kept in a room and that you're doing your resin in a room that's 72 to 75 degree Fahrenheit. And yeah, that is pretty much it for the techniques and tricks. Make sure that you watch our videos for different things we're gonna make and do using this resin kit.